Do not worry. Family, can I be honest with you this morning? Can I be fully transparent? Okay, I believe personally, and I learned this from my wife, I learned this from watching Lena, from something that she guards at all costs. You know, she tries to protect me, and she's a beast around her children. Like, she's a pit bull. Don't let that smile fool you. She'll wreck shop for one of her children. But I learned something from my wife that she talks about all the time in our home. And I want to open up this message with this piece of wisdom I learned from my wife, that one of the most powerful and tangible strengths you will ever have in this trouble-filled life is peace. My wife, Lena, always says, I'm protecting my peace. I'm not going to let this people steal my peace. I'm not going to let this steal my peace. She's always talking to me about guarding her peace. I knew not what that was like, and I learned that watching her. She's always on the guard for her peace. It is one of the most powerful, intangible things you will ever have in this life that gives a human being strength and confidence, peace. Now, when I say peace, I'm not talking about that surface tranquility that is logically disturbed whenever things are jostled in our life by unwanted circumstances. I'm not talking about that kind of peace. No, my friend. When I talk about peace, I'm talking about that deep inner reality of a quiet assurance that is anchored in spiritual truths that steadies the soul in the middle of anything that we're going through. It's the kind of peace that hears a doctor's report and doesn't fall apart. It's the type of peace that loses a job and does not fall apart. It's the type of peace that something blows up in your life but it doesn't fall apart. It's the type of peace when you see somebody that should lose their mind in the middle of a circumstance but has not lost their mind in the middle of the circumstance. It's that kind of peace that's anchored in something much deeper than my circumstances. For you and I have learned that peace is not the absence of trouble. It's not the absence of war. It's not the absence of all those things, troubles or frustrations. True peace is a state of being that's given to us by the Lord. And true peace is really born out of a revelation that comes from the Lord. Amen. When I think about my children, some of the babies that's downstairs at Formation Kids, I think some of the best people that image or model peace are little children. 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds. You ever look at them, all they know is peace? That's right. They kind of live with a carefreeness, and no matter what's going on in your house, it doesn't seem to disturb them at all. They don't care that the bills are not paid. They don't care that you got fired from a job. They don't care that you're having marriage trouble. They don't care. When you look at little children, it doesn't matter what's going on around them. They just seem to maintain peace. They are unmoved by the things that are happening around them. Man, they'll fall down and bruise a knee and get up and wipe their tears in 5 minutes and go right back to peace. It's no wonder that Jesus says, unless you enter the kingdom like a little child. There's so much we can learn from just staring at children. They have great peace. But I watched something happen in the lives of my own children as they grew from being little kids to teenagers and now adulthood. With growth came awareness, and awareness came awareness of troubles and awareness of circumstances and situations. And then what was untroubled peace has become loss of peace from time to time as they have grown now, and they have a more consciousness of the realities of life. Because something happens to us when we adult. As we grow into adulthood, we are constantly aware of everything around us that is wrong, that is difficult, that is hard, that rocks us from our peace. Do I gotta witness anybody? Awareness of the things going on around us, man. It kind of opens the door, listen to me, to the greatest enemy of peace. You know what that is? Not the devil, anxiety. The greatest enemy of peace is anxiety. You know it because it comes on in a moment when something shifts in your life. Worry. Worry is not foreign to you and me. Everybody in here is worried. Everybody in here has felt anxiety. It's a common human emotion. Worry is common. Man, it is brought on by any manner of things. Like just the shift in a circumstance can make you worry. Something falls apart in your life. you can start to worry. A circumstance moves, you start to worry. Oftentimes, I've learned, because I'm a perfectionist, and pray for me, that sometimes anxiety sets in when you have a feeling of a loss of control. I ain't got no honest people in the room. Any perfectionists in the room? As soon as things are outside of your little control, you start to worry. When you cannot fix the circumstances, when they are beyond your control, we start to feel worry. Can I go deeper? The emergence of some perceived need stirs up anxiety and worry. But among all the things, family, that create worry and anxiety in the hearts of men, the thing that's at the top of the list that creates anxiety and worry is our worry over our current financial situation, our resources, our financial stability, our financial future, our 401k, our money market accounts, our investment accounts. How well are we going to be off when we retire? What am I going to have when I'm done working? Is Social Security going to last past 2025? The truth is, the thing that stirs the most anxiety in American believers and Americans is our anxiety over our financial stability. Can we pay the bills? Can we take care of our families? Can we feed these children? Is my business going to expand? Are my investments going to expand? I got investments. I've seen them go up and down. I've seen them in the red and in the green. We look at these kind of things. Any honest people in the room? We think about these kind of things. So I got 4 people that was honest, all right? Let me get the other liars involved with the other 4 people, okay? Because I said, can we get any honest people? I seen 4 hands go up and like 500 liars. So let me bring us all into the conversation together. According to a recent study, nearly 8 out of 10 Americans, that's 78%, are stressed out about money, ranking at the top cause for their stress, with millennials ranking at the top of that list who was surveyed. So if the stat is true, that means 80% of us in this room right now, as I'm talking to you, we are worried about our financial situation. 80% of us. So the other 20% of you, just pray for me while I talk to the other 80% of us, because 90% of this church are millennials. So I'm in the right room because y'all was at the top of the list. Talk to us, right? 95% of this church are millennials. So I know I'm in the right room. I'm talking to 80% of this room that are stressed out about finances and your future, and do I have enough money saved? And can I buy this, and can I afford that? And the groceries, and you're choosing between groceries and gas, and is my business. I'm talking to you. And as a result of anxiety and worry, and I've known this personally, you know what it does, man? That kind of difficulty, man, it makes it hard to find the joy of living a life of simplicity. The little things. We don't even have gratitude for the little things because we're so anxious about all these other things. We can't even be thankful for clothing and for food and for relationship. Like, we can't even enjoy the simple things in life because we're so anxious about all these big things. Like Biggie said, right? Like I was watching the Tories the other day. Dope movie, right? Like the great prophet Biggie said, more money? No. I'm gonna add to Biggie's line. More money, more problems, more worries. That's true. True, when we worry, your mind is torn. That's what it literally means. To tear up your mind in pieces, anxiety tears the mind. It makes the mind divided. We inflict upon ourselves a great amount of mental and emotional damage whenever we're constantly worried. Like it's this unhealthy fixation we have with resources. And listen, I am not knocking getting to a bag. I am not knocking building a business. I am not knocking your investments. I'm not knocking any of that. What I am saying specifically, I'm talking to the era of believers who call themselves followers of Jesus, and your number one preoccupation is your financial status. Okay, family, look at me. Look right at me. Look at me. It is not the will of the Lord for you to be stressed out about your financial status. It's not the will of the Lord for you to be in anxiety all the time. I know that from what Jesus said to us in this entire text that we're studying, beginning with the clear teachings he gave us last week. Let me read these powerful words to you one more time. Matthew 6:19-24, which connects to where we're going. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So last week I taught you, the Lord was saying, man, invest some of your resources into the kingdom so your dollars will meet you in eternity, so that when you die and end up in heaven, you will not be a pauper forever. You will have treasures in heaven where you're going to be forever. So he says, invest in something that goes beyond your bank account. Invest in something that's going to outlast you when you die. Verse 22, the eye is the lamp of the body, which talks about your vision and your heart. If your eye or your heart, if your vision, your heart is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. That means if you see right, you respond right. But if your eyes are bad, if your vision is bad, if your heart is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. That is, if you don't see this right, your whole body, your decisions, your mind will be full of darkness. If then the light inside you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Verse 24, no one can serve two masters, for he will either hate the one or love the other. He will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. So last week I was telling you, God was telling us we have to make a decision. What's going to rule you? Where are you going to get peace from? Either you're going to be ruled by the pursuit of money that leads to anxiety, or you're going to be ruled by God Almighty that gives peace. It's your choice to make. The Lord is not against money. He's not against you getting a bag. He's not against you building your business. David was wealthy. Solomon was wealthy. Abraham was wealthy. He's not against you having money. He is against money having you. He doesn't want you to be stressed out. So he wants you to choose who's going to rule over your heart. Either God will rule or the love of money will rule. But these two masters will treat you differently. One will bring anxiety, the other brings peace, right? I want to tell you something. The love of money is godlike. That lowercase g is godlike. When we have a love of money, man, it commands worship. It influences the heart. It makes us bow down. It makes us compromise. It can corrupt people because money is like godlike in nature. The love of money is godlike. It has powers like a god. And I want you to pay attention to this. I mean, make this very clear. The Lord did not say you cannot serve God and Satan. All right, everybody, look right at me. Let me teach you. The Lord did not say you cannot serve God and Satan. He said you can't serve God and money, mammon, unrighteous mammon. So Jesus exalted to the status of a God the love affair we have with materialism. He exalted that to the status of a God. That the thing that's competing for the rulership of your heart is not Satan. He is the enemy of your soul. But the thing that Jesus knew was competing for the rulership of your heart against him is the love for materialism. You don't believe that? Let me prove this to you. Come on, family, look at me. Let's be honest. Look right at me. Let me talk to you. Don't front like I ain't up at night trying to choose whether or not I'm going to serve God or serve Satan. Come on, let's be honest. Y'all ain't up at night deciding whether or not you're going to sing songs or drink blood to Lucifer. That ain't your wrestle. You ain't wrestling between taking communion and drinking blood to Lucifer. That's not your wrestle. Your wrestle is between his majesty and your money. Your wrestle is between Jesus and Jordans. Your wrestle is between serving, supporting the kingdom, or keeping everything in your house. That is your real wrestle. It's not between God and Satan. No, y'all ain't running after Satan. Y'all love the Lord. You serve him. You worship him. You're wrestling between Jesus and the devil. That's not your wrestle. Think, family, your wrestle is, should I support the kingdom or keep all of that to myself? That's your real wrestle. Do I worship Jesus or worship Jay's? Wow, I'm just trying to make it real. That is our real wrestle. Support the kingdom or support my house, not take communion and drink blood. Think. You're not up at night trying to decide if you're going to worship the devil. You're up at night trying to decide, am I going to support the kingdom? I got a bill to pay, I got debt to pay, I got to send my kids to school. Your real wrestle is between supporting the kingdom and what you want to keep in your house. That is your real wrestle. That's what the Lord is saying here. That's what causes anxiety. And for a lot of us, I want to be honest, like I've been here, I know it's not intentional. For some of you, it's not intentional. I know you really want to. You're just looking at your debt. You're looking at your school loans. I know it's not intentional, but inadvertently, man, money is our master. I know it doesn't come from a bad heart. It just happens through the nature of all the things we got going on. So what is Jesus saying? I want you to listen because I'm trying to help you. He's trying to tell you and me, I'm talking to followers. An unhealthy preoccupation and fixation on materialism will cause you to always be stressed, frustrated, anxious, and worried. But Jesus does not want you to do that. He wants you to see right, feel right, understand right. Look at how he tries to love you by freeing you from that burden. Now listen to me. He's not against you having resources. He just doesn't want you to have worry and anxiety about it. So look what he says. He says everything from verses 19 to 24. The eye is the lamp of the body, treasures in heaven, all that good stuff. And then he connects it to this next thought. Now watch the text for this morning. Everybody look, Matthew 6:25. Look at the mastery teaching of Jesus. Therefore I tell you, what does the word therefore mean? Whenever you see a therefore in the scriptures, it means go and check what was previously said. Therefore is a conjunction word that joins two thoughts together. So what was he talking about? Treasures in heaven, money not being your master, your eye being healthy, all he's saying, all of that. Therefore, because of all of that, I tell you, I know you could read. What's the next words? Do not be anxious. Watch, he didn't suggest this to you. Do not be anxious. That is not a suggestion. That is a command from the Lord. And some of y'all trying so hard not to smoke, not to drink, not to gossip, not to fall into lust. But you should also be trying not to worry. Treat worry like a sin, because on the other side of worry is peace. Some of y'all treat worry like a pet. You keep it on a leash, you feed it, you water it, you let it live in your house. But Jesus is saying, stop entertaining anxiety. I refuse to worry. Somebody needs to say that over your life right now. I refuse to worry. I know what the doctor said, but I refuse to worry. I know the money is low, but I refuse to worry. I know they walked away, but I refuse to worry. I know life feels uncertain, but I refuse to worry. Why? Because if God feeds the birds, he will feed you. If God clothes the grass, he will clothe you. If God watches over creation, he will surely watch over his children. Provision follows purpose. Peace follows trust. And when you put the kingdom first, God promises to take care of what concerns you. Jesus was trying to teach us something powerful. Worry changes nothing. Worry cannot add 1 hour to your life. Worry cannot solve tomorrow's problems. Worry only steals today's peace. And some of you have been carrying burdens God never asked you to carry. You've been trying to control what only God can handle. But heaven is saying today, breathe easy. I got you. Even when you cannot see it, God is working. Even when doors close, God is protecting you. Even when the season feels slow, God is preparing you. Even when provision looks delayed, God has not forgotten you. The same God that takes care of birds in the sky and grass in the field knows exactly what you need. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not unseen. Your Father knows. And if you belong to him, then anxiety does not have to rule your life anymore. Choose peace, choose faith, choose trust, because God is already ahead of you making an A-way. Stop worrying. God is working.